By now, I believe we are all acquainted with the classic Queen and David Bowie collaboration called Under Pressure. Yes, in this episode, we will talk about how this song came to be and how Queen actually recorded more songs with David. Songs that are still unreleased today. So get ready, because this is episode 2 of Queen Stories. Queen plus David Bowie. Okay, so if you don't know who David Bowie is by now, that's on you, my friend. He was a brilliant singer and an amazing artist, and also he was a big fan of Switzerland. In 1979, Queen decided to buy the Mountain Studios located in Montreux, the city by the Lake Geneva. You know, like in the song. Nah, I'm not gonna play the song because of copyrights, but you must know it. Okay, so because Queen owned the studio, it was a given that they recorded there. So in July of '81, our boys started jamming and fooling around. The session was recorded and the song they created was named Feel Like. As the session moved on, because they knew each other, David Bowie, knowing that Queen were in the studio, decided to pop in and say hello. It wasn't long before the 5 of them started to jam together.
We were fooling around and just sort of jamming with tracks, and suddenly we said, why don't we just see what we can do on the spur of the moment?
They was just jamming in the studio and it all got recorded. All the Young Dudes, all the way from Memphis, and various rock classics. All the Young Dudes was a song originally written and recorded by David, but one that he gave away to Mott the Hoople, providing them with their first big hit. One can only imagine how amazing it would have been to hear the boys and David playing a cover of this classic. After doing the covers, they started to improvise with things and used the song Feel Like as a starting point. At one point, Dickie came up with the now iconic bass riff. They seemed to enjoy playing together and decided to take a break and go out for a meal and drinks. After 2 or 3 hours, they were back in the studio.
We went for a pizza and he forgot it. It completely escaped his mind.
What was that riff you had, Dickie? It was like this. No, it wasn't. It was like this. This was a funny moment because I just saw David Bowie going over and putting his hand on John's fretting hand and stopping him. It was also a tense moment because it could have gone either way. It wasn't easy because we were all precocious boys and David was very forceful. Now, once the main riff was settled, you'd think the band would continue to map out the rest of the song. However, David had other plans. Basically, he encouraged the band to play whatever they felt like and keep a free mind while doing it. It must have been a hell of a time for Brian, who was looking for a more mapped out direction. When they finally finished the instrumental part, they knew they were onto something. At this point, there is no song, no vocal, no words, no title, even no clue as to what the song will mean, just an instrumental backing track. But it really rocked. Born completely spontaneously, it was fresh as a daisy. At this point, Bowie pleaded with the band to continue to trust their instinct. When it comes to the lyrics, that was something special. Each of them went into a vocal booth consecutively without listening to each other, and listening to the backing track, vocalized the first things that came into their heads, including any words which came to mind, working with the existing chord structure. The main idea being that you can't listen to what the other was singing, you'd create from chaos a good counterpoint. However, that was not entirely the case. While David and the band were recording, Freddie was impressed that when Bowie was ad-libbing in the vocal booth, he was counterpointing perfectly what Freddie sang earlier. He told that to Mac, the producer, and Mac said, "Yeah, well, it's quite easy. He stood in the doorway and listened to what you were singing." All the bits were then mixed and matched to create a single track using the best sections. But with the end of the recordings didn't came the end of the tensions. The mix of the song was also a great subject of tensions between David and the band. They had different views, so in the end, the finished product, the mix that we all know and love by now, it's a compromise. Also, David recorded vocals for another Queen song called Cool Cat. The song was written by John Deacon, and David's vocals consisted in some random ad-libs.
He did sort of like backing vocals on one of my songs that was on the album then. That's not Under Pressure, that's another one.
Right.
And when it came to being released, I mean, he didn't like what he did. And I was like, you know, asshole tells me right at the tail end when the thing is just about to come out. So anyway, that's you know, artistic license. He just didn't like his voice right when it was about to come out. And I said, fine. I said, it's quite easy. All I do is erase his vocal and out it came. It wasn't like, he didn't do a very in-depth vocal at all. It was just a background. It was just background vocals. So, I mean, he just didn't
Do you think it was petty? I mean, do you think it was unnecessary?
Whatever. I think it was unnecessary, but I mean...
Are you not speaking to each other anymore?
Always speaking. It's just that we're in different parts of the world and... No, I'm not one of those bitchy queens that you like to... No. It's just... No, he's all right.
Queen and David did record many more songs together and covers that remain unreleased to this day. One of them is called I Go Crazy, a song that Queen recorded a few years later and released as a B-side to Radio Gaga. David Bowie and Queen in the studio turned out to be a fiery mix. Although they had very different approaches and methods of work, they were both amazing artists in their right. What we got out of that experience was the immortal Under Pressure. However, for us the fans, we can only imagine how the rest of those unreleased songs sound like. Maybe one day. Until then, thank you again for watching, and don't forget about the usual suspects: subscribe, like and share. Have a nice day, bye bye.